specialist for PhD. Talking about thesis and dissertation, let's get the economic in that order. However, in most other institutions, the two are expressed with the same thing. Our abstract should be between 300 to 500 words, and usually 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph should be the problem statement and objectives. What are you solving in one line? And also, if you can make that same sentence together with the objective, that would be nice, and you leave that paragraph. This is the problem, this is the objective, therefore, the dissertation is aimed at solving the area condition relevant for the state. Then you go to the second paragraph, which is the methodology. Now, the word methodology has to do with the description, process on how you solve the identified problem in order of application. Did you gather data? Yes. How did you gather the data? Which method did you use? Did you analyze the data? Yes, I did. How did you do it? All things should be in that particular order under the methodology. And once you are done with the methodology, you move to the next section, which is reports. You use a random sampling technique to gather your population of 300, and you analyze using perhaps SPSS or Excel or other statistical methods that you are used to. What was the report? You discovered that 50% of the initial relevant indigene happens to carry the particular disease that you are under, that is under investigation. Then you move from that paragraph 3 to the last one, which is conclusion and recommendation. What are you concluding on, and what are your recommendations? Are you saying that the drug that has been used in the past should be, continuously be applied? That should be your recommendation. So by the time you put all that together, you are not expected to exceed the number of words that you have been given to, that is guiding your writing. However, the number of words here is not sacrosanct. It's depends on the school in question. So what are the importance of a good abstract? The abstract allows you to elaborate upon each major aspect of the paper and helps readers to work with you. And a good abstract should be the highlight of the whole dissertation or thesis that you have written. However, most of writers fall short of this. You read the abstract, you don't get the message from the paper. And that shows you it's actually important. So, enough key information should be embedded in the abstract. Summary results, as I've mentioned, observation, trends, EPC must be included to make the abstract useful to someone who wants to examine your work. How do you know when you have enough information in your abstract? Well, the simple rule of thumb is to ask yourself, if I'm the author of this when you are reading, is it capturing the whole content of the work? If not, then you should be able to say, oh, the author has not done enough work, and it has to do this over and over again to make the next correction. So when you submit your work for either you are facing examiners or you have to submit for publication, you get the work review and you have to update what you have done to ensure that you have total capturing of the intended work. What are the brief abstracts we have? I've just mentioned one, the academic one. However, we have others that you can use aside academic abstracts. You can have a presentation like we have now. You don't call it abstract, you can call it summary or executive summary. And it's not supposed to be 300 to 400 words as I have mentioned. So the first one I want to share with you is what we call the critical abstract. critical abstracts. This provides, in addition to describing the whole work, when I say the whole work, that involves findings and information, a judgment and a comment about the study, which should include the validity of the instrument, the reliability of the instrument, and the completeness of the work. And this is the description of what we went through at my opening speech, which is the academic abstract. It is a complete summary of the entire work. The next one in that order is the descriptive abstract. Descriptive abstracts. This indicates the type of information found in the work. It makes no judgment about the work, nor does it provide result or conclusion of the research description. And this is usually within 100 words in the limitation of what you should write. Then we ask ourselves, where is descriptive applied? Where can we use that? That can be used in workshop and other short programs that we have around. The next one is informative abstract. Of course, all abstracts should be informative. When we're talking about information here, we have a particular direction that we have to follow. A good information abstract or informative abstract acts as a surrogate for the work itself. That is, the researcher presents and explains all the main arguments and the important result and evidence in the paper. The length varies according to disciplines. Your disciplines can say you have to take it further than 300, but averagely we should look towards 300 words in length. The last one, which is the fourth type of abstract here, is what we call highlight abstracts. Highlight abstracts. The word highlight intensifies briefness in writing, which is specifically written to attract readers' attention to the study. No pretense is made. It is not a balanced or a complete picture of the paper. The word highlight is a brief summary as mentioned. Therefore, this may lead to further questions that you may have to ask the writer or yourself about the work. So those are the brief discussion of the various types of abstracts that we should be able to write, or may have come across in writing. Now, what should your abstracts contain? One, what should your abstracts, not contain? Avoid lengthy background or contextual information. You don't have to. There's a word here which is an acronym, HAP. You don't have to, when you are developing or writing your abstract, please don't copy and paste. You have to read and write. No lengthy background of information. 2, redundant phrases, unnecessary adverbs and adjectives, and repetitive information should be avoided totally. Avoid the use of acronyms, except the acronym that will appear more than once. How do I mean? Your investigation is in Babcock University, and Babcock University, it may likely appear in the 4 paragraphs. So when you mention the first one, which is Babcock, after that, in bracket BU, then consistently, before the end of the abstract, you don't use Babcock University again, but you use the acronym BU. That is the only condition that acronym may appear. But when we say acronym here, acronym without meaning, explanation. References to other literature. For instance, say something like, current research shows that our studies have indicated, among others, Right now you are going into literature and you are juxtaposing your work or synthesizing. You don't do that in abstract because no one is making any reference to any paper in abstract. Then let's avoid the use of jargon that may be confusing to the reader. To you, it makes sense, but whoever is coming as an abstract person, it doesn't make any sense. Citation to other works and any sort of image, figures, illustration should be totally avoided. So if we are writing abstract, these are the concepts that should not, be heard of in abstract. And that brings us to the end of abstract writing. Well, I guess I will have to continue on the ground writing, and after the end of the discussion, we'll listen to the questions and contribution. But in a very short and summary way, that is what an abstract should be. Now, the next one is ground writing techniques. This is an environment where most of us have really avoided or shy away, not knowing that we can make money without going outside our rooms. Irrespective of the fact that you are professionals, I'm a professional teacher, and nobody is going to share this with you. So why do you write grants? Grants are invitation from people who want solution. And I think the biggest avenue of grant we have in the world today is solution to communication. We have an assumed, solution somewhere. But if you can come up today that you have a potent that are skilled and you can actually test and validate that, I'm sure people will be ready to invest in whatever process we have, taken. So a grant proposal is actually a narrative story or description of the work that a non-profit organization plans to undertake to fulfill both its own and the grant makers. Now, we say non-profit organization. When you want to write grants, please don't let your aim be on profit maximization. Let your objectives and aim be on solving solutions and meeting the needs of humanity. Most times we make money, and many times we don't. But the issue is the moment you make your name in the tide of time, you will get people who will acknowledge you, and your grants will be approved from time to time. This is a logic model developed in 2001 and has been in use. So it's a logic model in grant writing. If you are applying for a grant and the institution or the request has not given you procedure, when I say procedure, you should start with the title, abstract, problem statement, methodology, result, conclusion, and references. If you don't have that, then we advise you use the logic model. And this logic model has been used, and in fact, we are advised to always use this. And from the logic model we have on the screen, that is the entirety of what the grant writing is all about. By the left-hand side, you have the situation. Right after that, you have the inputs, you have the outputs, you have the outcomes. And beneath the outcome, you have some interfering issues we call external influences, environmental issues, and related programs. If you can understand all this, then you are a professional in grant writing. What do we mean by situation? I will not go through what we have on the screen, one after the other. But the situation is exactly our problem statement. You need to show that there is a problem before I can invest and give you money to solve it. What do I mean? Let's take cholera as an example, which is related to our field in the dictionary. I'm writing that some organizations should come to my aid because there is cholera epidemics in Elisha River. Then the issue is that how can you support that? You need to support it with statistics that cholera is really an epidemic. Then they will ask you how many people are actually dying. How many people are sick, hospitalized? Now, where are these people from? The slum or the GRAs? When I mean GRAs here, I'm using our language, please. Take note. The slum, they don't have dependents. Those who are independent, who are workers, who are professional, they are the one dying, who are likely to have thousands of dependents. So if these are the people dying, then you are likely to have voices that will be heard of. So if those who are making money, making changes in society are dying, then the town is in trouble. Because all the dependents automatically will die. But if it's those who are in the slum dying, I will have to hold my money and go to areas and go and invest to where people who makes the economy, changing the economy are really dying. And I will go and invest there because I know I'm going to make positive influence there. So situation tells us the gravity of the problems, which we must know how to write. We must show statistics, which is very, very important. We have examples here of some challenges that we may write about. Literacy. You want to say that the literacy level in this town is really on a 0 level. Yes, what is the impact on the town itself? Because they cannot read and write. Number one, no employment status. Number two, the status of the economy in the town is at 0 level. And it has increased the number of beggars on the street. And so many other epidemics can come along that area. Another one is lack of employment skill. What has that contributed? Okay? Sanitation. This is a very, very, very key and very common. Sanitation. People are dying as a result. How many people are dead? How many people are hospitalized? What is the population of the town? If this situation is not controlled in the next 2 years, there's likely to be more epidemics that will wipe the town totally. Then whoever is ready to invest in that will wake up and say, yes, this is a problem to invest money on because it's going to help humanities. Another one is that other is crime or violence. And of course, the unemployment can actually trigger space. We have HIV. How can you help right to help HIV situation? Water is another very, very good one in Africa, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. We have issue of scarcity of water supply. As I speak, I tell you in Nigeria that every home is a manufacturer of water. Every home is a manufacturer of PHCN. And once again, the only thing that I've not seen every home manufacturing is a road exactly, which is for now maybe at the reach, outside the reach of the minority. But if things are not improved, and we may have to get there, because the government, I'm so sorry to use this word, they have no plan for you and I. So water is an issue in sub-Saharan Africa. And most organizations have stopped, investing in solutions to water supply. Because at the end of the day, we don't really get to what we need to do, and we back up and say we have finished. So if we have to implement and evaluate after 2 years of digging a borehole, we discover that the borehole is dry and there's nothing coming out of that again. So before you can get a grant in sub-Saharan Africa on water, you will do a lot to get it. And there are so many other examples around. At the end of the day, we share together how we can actually get feasible grant to apply to. How would I explain what situation is? Let's look at some characteristics that may trigger or help us in the writing, which may be repetition of some of the things I have mentioned. It has to affect enough people to be seen as a social problem. I'm not going to go to examples. HIV is a very good one. Coronavirus is another large epidemic that we have ongoing. 2, you need to document the cost of problem situation to society. Number 1, what is the economic cost to society? Has it cost society anything that you can say economically is draining the society? What is the level of human suffering? How can you scale that? How can you picture that? And all this should be something that you have found a journal, not something you envision or you have pictured or you have seen that you cannot actually read or cite in recent journals. If you read your work well, you will be able to get that. And let me stop there to say that all your writing is similar to proposal writing, which will be in a funnel shape. When I say funnel shape, where is the issue of water supply? How drastic is it? Is it, example, issue of virus, coronavirus 19? Is it an edition thing? No. Is it Lagos thing? No. Is it a world issue? Yes. So it's going to be a funnel shape. You start from the world to Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, eventually you get to Central, West Africa, and finally the domain where you are writing, which is edition. So it should be in that order. Very briefly, we need a paragraph, summarize that, and you get your point. And the last point on that here is risk of spreading. Like I said earlier, if you have cholera as an epidemic fighting in a particular region, and you have statistics that people are dying every day, and nothing has been done, or some things have been done, however, it appears that those things, those solutions are not helping things, and instead of reducing the epidemic, it's actually increasing it, and you are asking for further solutions. Because one of the things you have to explain is that what have other people done to alleviate this disease or this epidemic? You need to explain. For me to invest my money, I need to know how far you have gone to be able to solve that problem. And once you do not meet those needs, then I can come to your aid, having an agreement that you have to solve the situation. Number 3, the problem has to be alleviable. I said earlier, issue of water. You can go there if you know you can alleviate that. But right now, most people usually abandon it, and investors are no longer willing to invest money on water scarcity any longer. Number 4, so you need a situation, problem that is large enough to impact or endanger society, but not so large that you cannot alleviate, which means that your objectives must be measurable, not something that you cannot achieve. At the end of the day, you have your objective and you have your timeline. Yes, number 1, achieve. Number 2, achieve in that order. You need to show some passion for the situation, some passion. You need to show some passion. You have to go beyond the issue of say parties to any party there, to show the concern. Otherwise, if you don't express it in a way that it really affects you, nobody is willing to come to your aid, nobody is willing to read your paper, because there are thousands and one people lying, seeking for money. So you need to show some passion that this thing is big, huge, and if there is no solution in the next 10 days, likelihood that the whole town is going to go 0 level instead. And you have statistics to back this up. If you have to go to the hospital to start those who are there and others to show that they are really critically down, and the number of helpers are either not available or at 0 level. Okay. Great methods, such as the input output, do not really base the solution. Well, I think that is all part of under situation. And I tried to give us an example here of the World Health Organization that wrote something a few years ago. So the World Health Organization may not be able to go through all this because of our time. And I also like to know that this, when my time is over, I would like to sit down so that we don't encroach in others' program. The World Health Organization, this is an example of how situations are written, estimates that 350 million women and children in Africa suffer from deficiency in micronutrients. These micronutrients rank among the top 10 leading causes of deaths. You can see how, place that in terms of killer disease in the world or countries. In the country of Uganda. In Uganda, USAID estimates that 33% of children under 5 years old suffer from stunting and 14% are underweight. USAID also estimates that undernutrition is the underlying cause of 60% of deaths for children under the age of 5. So you go on and make analysis with other countries nearby. Except you support your work with statistics, users may not be able to attend to you. The next one, if you look at the model, is the inputs. And a lot of us are used to computer here, how computer works. We talk about input, we talk about output. But the outputs in this model is not relatively, close to what the output of computer is. The output of computer in this model is the outcomes we have here. However, the input we have here is what we bring to the work. You have written the problem. So the next one is, what is the input? You have talked about the problem as situation. So the input is what you want to bring together to solve the problem. Mind you, the fact that you are seeking for grants does not mean that you don't have part of the grant to part of yourself or part of the community where you want to solve the problem with some solution. Most of us are looking for, brain. We are not ready to be rich. You need to show empathy. You need to show some passion that you want solution. Therefore, you need to show that you have something to support this grant. And that is the input. Now, some of the inputs you are expected to define are the time factor that you have to give to ensure that this problem can be solved. How many hours per week do you want to commit to this investigation? How many personnel are you willing to employ? How many have you gotten? Let's take, for instance, and go back to our issue of Egyptian cholera epidemic. You want to carry out an investigation in addition to solve that problem. So the first thing is you have to meet what we call gatekeepers, elders of the town, to support you. Hold a meeting with them. This is what you want to do. You need their support. And of course, the support is not free. You pay for their services. And they are the only one that can convince others to support the scheme. So how many of them are willing to support the scheme? You need to know that. And how much are you willing? We get to that data to pay for their services. You are not the one paying, but the donor is paying for their services. So you need to let them know that it's not free. And all the meetings that you hold with them, you need to entertain, and all those money will be documented. It's not free, and they are paying for all that. So that takes care of personnel and partners. Also look for partners within the country that you have contacted to help you before getting an external donor, because they want to know those they are partnering with. Organizations that could make a change, organizations that have names in the country. So you need to have partners that you have reached out to that is willing to also partner with you in this getting solution to the problem. So it's not all about the donor. The donor is more or less the primary. You have secondary facilities around that you can tap from. I also have example of what the input could look like. I have it there, but because of time, we won't go through that. If you have established that well, then we go to output services. And in the output services, we have two sections. I say the output here is not the same output we have in a computer, because here we are still expected to throw in some more inputs. So on the output services here, we have what we do and who we reach. What we do and who we reach. What you do and who you reach need to logically be related to the key points in the situation and your outcomes, particularly your outcomes. Each output activity needs is related to an outcome. There are two elements, as mentioned, what we do and who we reach. For example, in who we reach, we talk about target population. What do you do about it? The key here is you need to choose a target population that has the problem and the consequences of the problem. You need to have a target population. Earlier on, I talked about edition. If the population of edition is 1 million, and right now we have cholera epidemics that has almost taken over 800, 900, and you know that in the next 1 week, if there is no urgent solution, then the town is in trouble. What we do, this is your program to alleviate the situation. I may include one, education to alleviate. If it's a cholera issue, then education is the right step to start with. You need to educate them. If you have to educate them, you need to have a timetable. Having met the elders, the gatekeepers, and all those who will support you, including external bodies in Lagos, Abuja, and likes. You need to have workshop with all the population. Maybe Sundays or Saturdays or Friday when there is less work, probably in the evening. And when you are doing that, it's not equally for free. You need to provide menu, because you know that when that is there, probably that will be an attractive situation. And you may be the initial donor until you get approval. But all invested resources will be paid for, provided you don't go out of your budget. We'll get to that very soon. So 2, and how many workshops you want to have until the solution? It has to be stated. What time are you going to spend in each workshop? And you don't have to be the facilitator. In grant writing, we have what we call principal investigator. I saw the problem, and I employed members to join me in solving the solution. That makes me the principal investigator. I don't have to be the one teaching people. I can bring professionals, nurses, doctors, and I pay them. Their pay is part of the budget. I pay them for their services. So being the principal investigator, you don't have to be the one who the principal investigator will die in the process if you try to solve the problem. So you are just the organizer who has put things together, and you are the one that will be in contact with the donor. They don't know other people, but they know you. And you have a lot at stake because you are collecting resources from them. So 2, manuals, documents that will support the educational program. You have to provide. You know what I'm talking about. You want to solve for them, you need to tell them that this is a picture of someone who has been eating in a healthy lifestyle. This is someone who has been eating less, and this is the picture. So you need to have something pictorial to show them that you need a healthy living to be able to stand the test of time. You can involve, you can be creative and bring other events or activities into the program. Training in skills. Let me diversify here and talk about unemployment. You want to solve the problem of unemployment, and you want to bring sewing machine, you want them to buy as many sewing machines as possible, then you need to bring them together and bring samples of the kind of sewing machine that will be supplied, and bring materials that people have sewn from that, and tell them the impact of those who have been in that business for long. We need to invite them from various areas for them to see. It is usually, said that seeing is believing. They have to see the output of what you are teaching them. The next one is dosage level. How often and how long do the activities to achieve your outcome? A day, a month, 2 months, and etc. Repeat. Use of standard program. Please, if you are on a grant writing, you are not the one paying. Quotes for standardization. If they are not going to support you, you get your support elsewhere. And you don't give up until you get support. Keep writing. Go for standard. And that's one of the things that makes you a good grant writer. And by seeing what has worked, not what is going to be an abandoned program. But you need to just impose a program from another time and place. No. Pick what is known to work, adapt what is going to work, and not what is going to be an abandoned project as mentioned. Then the next one is still on the outputs. Hands-on instructional classes are given as method, such as nutritional classes, cooking, and everything should be. Then the employee, okay, this is just on the same example that we mentioned earlier. Now we move to the outcomes. In the outcome, we have seen problems, we have seen inputs, what you bring into it. Let me stop here and say that part of the inputs that we may have are the fact that you are likely to get people in the process of the work that they don't have money to support you. They don't have capital, but they want to give themselves to support you. Some don't. If you want to build a house or you want to run a training, okay, I can't support you with anything, but I have a hall. I have an outdated hall in my house that if you can put some, money and fix it up, it will be useful. So I'm donating that to the cost of this work. That is an input. And all that will be cost is going to be part of the budget very soon that you have to put down and be part of your cost. It's not free. To you it's free, but the donor is going to pay whoever has donated that. In the outcome now, outcome is the final result. We have 3 outcomes that we should expect. The first one is the short outcome. And when you talk about the short outcome, let's use the issue of cholera that we started with, as an epidemic in a nation. What do you expect to be the outcome? And the outcome here is just within a range of 1 to 6 months. You want to see changes. Which changes do you want to see after proper education? The only changes that you can see within those periods are: 1, you want to see the level of their awareness. There will be more, in tune to the fact that they don't drink water from anywhere, except for the pure source that's available, and that has been established. They will have adequate knowledge where to eat from, where not to eat from, and they will also acquire skills on how to get purified water. So basically, within the first 6 months, what you are expecting as the outcome is the short outcome in that area: knowledge and awareness. For the medium term, it's usually within the first one is within 1 to 2 months. Sorry, that's a big typo there. The second one is 2 to 6 months. What do you expect? Interest before you hold your meetings. If they have been fetching water from the stream and you have made provision on how to get better potable water for them, you will see that most of them will stop going to the stream where water, that was fetched are actually mixing with what? Open air, defecation and others. They will stop going there and go and source for the rightful water. The interest will be increased. There is going to be a change. If it's cholera, there's going to be a change in the use of toilets and how they care for that. Change in regional governmental procedure and other, then policies will be implemented. It is a medium time that can actually bring policy into fruition, not a short time. When you're writing your situation, always indicate as part of your statistics that at the end of the day, the objective is that if you have 10% on cholera level or 30 or 90% on cholera level, at the end of this situation, I should have it as low as 5%. Then you have to measure it there. If you have 5% before, it has to drop down, the level has to drop down to 3%, and it should be measurable. Whatever measures you have used at the beginning should also be what applied towards the end. So we have example there. Now, let me just run through the short term again in a brief way. Increase in knowledge is going to go high, increase in skill, change in attitude, change in motivation, awareness will be increased. The medium terms. In the medium terms of output here, the 3 P's will be emphasized. What do I mean by P's? The 3 P's. The first one is that practice will be what? Will be higher. They want to practice what you have taught them. They want to abide by the policies, and they want to follow the procedures. And for the long-term outcome, it's usually within the range of 1 to 6 years. Then you can measure that. And what do you expect to see? You move here beyond what? The borderline of awareness, of policy implementation to total what? Turnaround. Initially, they pick water anywhere before, they defecate anywhere before, but right now, there's a policy that at the end of every month, we have an environmental study in town, and everyone has to be involved because it's everyone's business. So that no one will, have to face what they have faced before. And the turnaround event of this will be seen, and everybody will be involved. There are other factors that you may have to look around after the outcome. Is what we call implementation and continuity of what you have established. I, as a principal officer, may not be an indigene of the mission, but I have done that, and how will I ensure that this is actually going to continue? You have to appoint elders who will be on monthly salary and who will be the one monitoring the event in town. And once in a while, you have to continue to visit the town. The next one we have to look at is what we call the external affairs, which is very, very important. Now, what do you mean by external affairs in terms of the example that we started with? Cholera. If I want to establish and teach the indigene on how to live safe, so that will prolong their life and their families, I have to connect with organizations on ground. I don't have to overlook the public health facility in Mission Town. I don't have to underestimate the solution that Bangkok University can bring into it. The same thing in Kenya and Shagam and in Peru. These are the external affairs. If you do not consider these people, these are the people who will run your program down. But the moment you involve them, pay them for their services, let them be involved, let them be some of the facilitators. Appreciate the ongoing work. If you don't, then you are not ready to succeed. If you talk about academics too, establish it, appreciate those who are on ground. Otherwise, you are not ready to actually create a change, and your work may not be visible within either talking about the short, the medium, or the long term. So the first one here says your program of animation must be consistent with the local culture. You need to be culturally competent or use a culture broker in your program if you are not from that program. Appoint someone from the health facilities of Ghana to lead out. You are just the principal investigator, and of course you have your money. You cannot take the salary of these health workers and add it to your. Externally, you will not survive. If you try it and you go once, you will never get a donor to support your work again, because they will investigate and they will know. If you are not trying, then you have a skill. Make sure that the program you are implementing has been successfully used in your local culture or similar culture, at least many cultures, and justify the cultural translation you will do. Now, having satisfied the external environment, then we go to the key factor, and I know that's where most of us are very much interested, at knowing what is my benefit. What is my benefit? We must be careful here, because you have to have every budget pen on paper and be able to do that before you start. So the logic model documenting the situation, the objectives you have, the inputs you need to achieve the objectives, and program activities. Inputs all must have a cost. All must have cost. Even the building that was given to you free must be evaluated by a structural builder. What will this cost if I have to rent it for 6 months for training, for 1 year for training, put it on the ground? Every input and output needs to have a cost assigned to it. For example, if you have a finger grader, you have the facility that you are donating. See, every staff, professional, person you need, the percentage effort or hours per time. Now, I don't have money, but I want to give my time. Volunteering work, we call that volunteering. In a week, I'll be there twice in a week. Okay, for those who please evaluate on the local paid salary. What do I mean? You don't have to use dollars. But how much are you supposed to get for a salary with this degree? And divide that by the number of days that you are giving out. So if I'm probably earning 10,000 a month, and I can share that within 30 days, and if I share that within 30 days and my per day earning is 1,000, please put it down that you are paying a person 1,000, and that's based on what? Local salary earning of the professional. And I have to say here that all your personnel must have their CVs attached to the document to ensure that you are not employing quack because you want to underpay them. No, you have to pay them their regular money, and that has to be spelled out according to their CV, according to their profession, and whoever you are employing must have a certification that yes, I have done this work ABC successfully before. That gives you more power to earn your work, your money. But if you are using quack, of course they go for professional. Nobody, including myself, wants to drop my money in the basket and they leave the basket. I would like to pump it where it's going to leave something. So we will look out for something that is more profitable. Now, reviewers, we pay attention to local markets and pay reasonable salary. Local market is our own naira, not dollar. They do not want you to disrespect the people you hire or to inflate the salary by underpaying or overpaying them. Generally, with soft money, what do you mean by soft money? Money that is not based on salary. A donor is going to give you $5 million. That is soft money, and that is at the point it's not going to be taxable. So that's what we mean by soft money. Every activity, everything you are going to do for the project, input output, need a cost assigned to it, From equipment, supplies, travel, you will know you are going within this project, you will travel more than 5 times. Please put your word. Is it mileage, you want to use a car, or you want to pay for a job? Everything must be stated. Communication, everything must be stated. Remember dosage level, what you are going to do and how often you will do it. Please don't submit your budget until you are sure you have covered every expenses you intend to use. Justification. If you have written for a budget or you have written a budget for a project, then you need to justify as one of the factors that reviewers look for. What do I mean by reviewers? We put out an advert that we want, those that can provide solution. And of course, when we have about 100 or 120 or 1,000 just on a job, we review and look for loopholes to draw people. And we pick the best and invest on. That's what I mean by reviewers. It's not just free, it's not just randomly. They also employ reviewers who are experts, who have been doing it years and years. Because no one, I repeat, wants to invest money without a deal. A budget must be well justified. The justification must be related to every specific input and output that is essential to achieve the objective, short, medium, or long term. This is usually done in a budget justification narrative. Please, when I mean narrative, well, my background is mathematics. I have to change my total orientation from not speaking at all to speaking more and writing more. The first qualitative narration I did, I scored half of the mark. And I went back to the lecturer. Why am I getting this? He said, because you did not think enough to know how to write more. We say narrative expression. You need to know how to narrate things in abstract. Even things you are not seeing. You envisage, show pattern as if you are seeing it. And we read novels and we call them fiction. You can be the author of this novel. They also sit quietly, thinking of something that never exists and you are writing. You can do it. If I can change from X plus Y to Z to being able to tell you today without using X, Y, Z and be able to communicate for 3-4 hours non-stop, we can all do a narrative of writing. Complete budget justification, okay? I think please do take note of this. That justification focuses on the need for the thing and the kind of importance or unique skill brings and their role in the project, as well as the importance of the role of that person. Such as personnel can be a key to getting funding, their skill set that is important to the project, their training experience that prove they can do the job. I told you how do you do that? You need to attach physical documents. Their credibility that may make a funder have confidence in your and others on the road. They have been doing it. They are linked. They go on the Google. If you have a link, I completed one last week with a friend in Abuja, and I have to send a link of previous work, so that that's an evidence for them to check. And it's something that you cannot cover. It's still in public domain. So we need those experiences, and you have to watch out so that you don't spoil your name in one because it's going to replicate. There is no way they will not seek forward past experiences. Now there's the issue of matching. What do you mean by matching? I have a building that is not quantified. I have to match it to the cost. That's what we mean by matching. I want to give myself for 1 week and have to match my effort with the cost. That's matching. I have a shovel that I want to give out for the period of this building. Now, how do you pay for that shovel? I have a load of sand that I'm not at this point using. I want to give that for the cost of this work. How do you match that with the cost? When I do your budget. Some funding agencies like to see matching. It can be in the real dollar, but sometimes agency does not want that because of audit issues. It can be in kind, space, equipment donated by experts, staff, volunteer. Agencies often like that breaker, particularly government agencies. The next one is overhead. Overhead is the entire money you are expecting. This is the real cost of managing or hosting a project by an agency that is hosting a program. Universities have negotiated, if I am to carry out my grant in Babcock University, and I have used Babcock University as a name to get the grant, because they know that Babcock has a grant and the name is profitable. You are likely going to get that better by doing that on your own. That's one of the things you should consider. Writing grants is for you, for the likelihood of getting it quickly. Please go under an institution, ADRA, Babcock, WHO. Of course, you are not paying them. The fact that you are writing under them, they have their own percentage. Once it comes to that, it's automatic. And your report goes to them. You are nobody. Sorry, in quotes, you are somebody, but in terms of you may be untraceable in Nigeria, but ADRA, WHO, Babcock, EDC, they have where they can be caught. So they have a percentage. Many funding agencies have a fixed rate. Foundations are often at best between 10 to 15%. If it comes to Babcock University, they have a fixed rate. 10% is going to go to Babcock, then the rest goes to the executor of the project. Some organizations do not pay overhead. Well, our church don't pay. Some of the agencies don't pay overhead. So the overhead rate does matter because funders really have to pay for fixed cost of administration. They like their funds to go to what? Actual projects. They don't like overhead. They want to pay for what? Actual projects, not administrative costs of the application, applying for whatever you want to do. So, however, many organizations essentially build their infrastructure on overhead. Make sure you know the overhead rate of the organization before you use the organization. What do I mean? You want to use WHO. You are not aware that WHO will take 55% of the money you are getting. And you run into it, at the end of the day, you run at a loss. Because the money given to you will not be enough for you to carry out the project. So look for other organizations that will take less. 10%, instead of 55% or 50%. The next thing, the word padding, I'm sure we are all used to it. In the budget of Nigeria, they have gone through padding that creates chaos in the National Assembly. Same thing here, padding there, most reviewers find out padding. And that is why we are warned and advised that please critically do your budget before you apply, before you submit. The money is approved to you. And you overspend, you may not get the money on the likelihood of concurrencies. So sometimes funding agencies go for supplementary funding. If one can show the need, uncover a new thing you need to address, examine and ameliorate, but do not count on it. So it is very important to remember that with what you have and spend it wisely based on it. If you will be paid 10%, how will you pay 10%? Make sure that you don't get more than that 10%. And you are paying XYZ 2% each. Make sure you don't pay based on passion or based on empathy. Pay on what you have invested in. When they are coming in, please give what will be your pay package. Take, and they won't expect more than that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has brought us to the end of this discussion. So I believe in a few minutes we may have, I don't know how many of the minutes for interactions, contributions, and all that you may have that you will have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for that very inclusive presentation. So without wasting so much of our time, I'm taking just 3 questions or comments or contributions contribution that you may have. If you have any question or comments, please raise up your hand and come forward. I'll take it just to questions, contributions, comments, additions, subtractions. Please let me start it.
Thank you very much, sir, for that useful lecture. My question is this: when you were presenting, you made mention of having reviews, which is going to be important for a donor to look at before investing in your project or investing in your work or your research. For a first-time beginner, probably I want to do a clinical research, and the first time I don't have a work done previously, and I want to apply. What is the field of me getting credible donors? Is there something extra I should do? Because if my donors are probably looking out for reviews, I don't have any yet. Thank you.
Any question? Any other question?
Thank you so much. I feel to acknowledge that all that I've been discussing is actually community projects. All my discussions has been on community projects. Those of us on an academic project can actually request for grants, and they are all available, especially when we talk about STEM, science, technology, and mathematics. We have them there. Unfortunately, nursing is a science course. So that's one of the hot areas that the Western world is actually investing so much on today. So if you are writing an academic project and you needed to apply for grant, please, all they have to request from you is or are proof that you are really a student. They will have to seek for your supervisor's support in terms of writing a letter and probably giving the qualification that you expect to have, and how long the work study, your project is going to take you. If your project is going to take you 6 months and you are applying for a grant of 1 year, and you should know that definitely that may not be visible. But if you are doing a PhD, which is going to last you for 6 years, for 3 years, and you are applying for a grant that may involve you going to outside your domain, Nigeria, for 6 months, that is visible. So those are the documents that the donor would want to see. One, they want to see the fact that you are a registered student to the university. Your letter of what? Not employment now, but letter of what? Admission. Yes, thank you. Letter of admission, your ID card, your supervisor has to write, and to validate your topic and all that. Those are issues that will have to be seen before the such donor will be willing to cooperate with you, to give you, either you are looking for facility or you are looking for money to execute your research or dissertation.
Thank you very much, sir. We have another question, but it seems like many of us are shy, so we can write our questions on a sheet of paper and give it to people. We'll bring it forward and read it for you.
Thank you, sir, for that clarification, but I wanted to add that not necessarily an academic research, like a clinical research, I think that should be under community too. But are they still going to ask for, because I'm not a student, I'm working, and I want to carry out probably a research on nurses, maybe maybe diabetes among nurses, probably because of poor eating pattern or something like that, and I want to search for grants for that clinical research. Does it fall under community? And then do I have to have a review because something like that is coming out new? And if you want to go for that, how do we source for grant and how do we get it?
Thank you. I think it's part of what I have mentioned. For such research, and I'm sure you are not looking for so much money, like you are not looking for something more than $10,000. Now, let me be specific here. Last year, February, I have a research body in Andrews, that we do research together. We got a grant of $5,000. That was just a very small money, isn't it, for academic research, which is also community-based. And what is the title of the research? Factors militating against Sub-Saharan Africa in what? In settling in the US. That's the title. It's not too much of academic. It's something that is visible. We have a lot of divorce rates so high in among Sub-Saharan Africa, and here we are talking in respect to 4 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, and Kenya. These are the countries involved. And we've got just 5,000. And of course, 5,000 cannot help us through. We are still looking for more. So what basically did we tender to get this? The institution that we are working with. So you need to align with the institution that you are working with. And to ensure that yes, you are either a staff or a student of that institution. And the institution will be responsible to ensuring that that project is executed, not you. Because at that point you are not known when the institution is known. So you must have an institution you have registered with. That is very, very key. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Do we have any questions?
Thank you very much for the presentation. Mine is not really a question, but a kind of contribution to the question she asked. I think if you want to also write a grant, you can write it under a renowned person that has always written a grant before. Let's say, for instance, the time we had a research in my department on IPT, that is women taking anti-malaria as a preventive measure. The principal investigator wrote that grant under a known grant writer, and that was under the cover of Professor Walker. And because they've already known that person as a renowned grant writer, that was granted. So if we want to write a grant as a starter, we can also write it under someone that has actually written grant that has a name. And then with that can actually cover you, that could be granted. And so we in the hospital, when we're writing a grant, that's a question for my brother now. If we're writing a grant in the hospital, would that be referred as an academic grant or a practical grant or clinical grant? We can call it a clinical grant. And so if that be the case, when we are getting our participators, those that we are going to equipped to write, is it compulsory that everybody has to be paid the salary, or you have volunteers that can just come along and then carry out the project, and at the end of the day nothing is being paid? Now if such has happened, is it that one is violating the rule of the stated rule according to all that you have learned today? Money will be given to everybody either in cash, and so if you're using a facility, that should also be quantified. Then at the end of the day, when you're writing that to the people you want to get the grant for, those things are, let's assume they give us a space in the clinic that we are using. Now I learned that we should quantify that in the monetary terms. Now the people, are they sending that money? And then if that money is sent, are you meant to give it to the people that gave you that space to use, or how do you go about that? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Zanao, for that contribution. And of course, you're right with what you have said. A renowned writer and institution will go faster than you standing alone. Standing alone, you will not get involved easily. But hiding under a particular umbrella will fly you more and quickly. Now, having said that, the other concepts, if I have to employ XYZ and I'm requesting for volunteers, the money will be given to you, either you like it or not. And there is no way you can spend that money if you don't give it to them. The money is going to go back to them. So it's either you are being the word, use your word in Jebu, right? I'm using our local word, but not paying those who have requested for their services because they feel that they want to give their services free because they have the time and all that. But the organization, the donor body, is going to give you the money. And let me say, you cannot spend it because every budget will be made and justified based on the evaluation. So if you don't have a proof of where you have used the money is going to go back. Not even for the principal investigator cannot get 1% more than what you have quoted. If you do, then be ready to own it that that's going to be your last grant you are writing. The moment your name is coming, then throw it away. That's if you are even alive, not prosecuted. So let's be faithful. And if you know if people are actually volunteering, it's okay. How many volunteers do we have? This is the volunteering percentage that you indicate. Please pay them their money. Either you pay or not, you can't have it. And it has to go back. And of course, you don't only pocket that and use that elsewhere. Same thing goes for equipment. Every of these are inputs which should have cost. And I said earlier, match them with the cost. Ask for those builders, how much will this cost? If I have to put a touch, if I have to paint this is the material, this is the cost, and I have to rent it for X, Y days. This is the equivalent. Please put that on paper, let them pay. And who is going to get the money? Of course, it's the volunteer that gave the place for you. You can't have it. The organization, and remember, I said non-governmental organization, whose objective is not to make profit. Of course, that is not to say that you as the principal investigator or the number of employees that you have assembled, you speak to them and you have the same language and say, okay, when we win this project or we win this project, please be ready to sacrifice 2% of your income to this organization for the outrunning of what? Of other projects. That's your internal assessment. That should not affect those who are volunteering for the project, because you want to use that money as an income to further pursue other projects.
Thank you very much, sir. Do we have any other questions? Okay, please come forward.
Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation. My question is, as a profession, nursing profession, we have been involved in a lot of outreaches and researches that as special that have granted or given grants for. And then at that execution time, when the grant comes, we don't know about it. It's like use and discard syndrome. There was a time we went for an outreach. I was on my feet for like 8 hours doing test imaging in that community. We had a lot. What other people were, the people that wanted the grant, were just taking pictures. When you remove those big things from the gate, you take picture. And then when you don't even know when they get the grant. And then after like that 6 hours, what did we get? A solo or dinner. So what can we do? Is it actually right to sign a legal something that, okay, this thing, when it comes, you have to, so that when you can present that legal writing, and then you can use it to claim whatever is yours. Is it legal? Is it ethically right in research to do that? Another thing is, how do we even know? How do we monitor to even know? Because sometimes you don't even know when it comes, when it's where it materialized. So how do we trace that? Is it possible? And then, so that we will know when it's actually materialized and then we will know what to do. Thank you.
This is another key issue we have in the society, and that has to do with the issue of trusts. I mentioned to you last week, a colleague of mine, he studied leadership program in Andrews University, called me in Abuja when he got into a fix. He was running a grant on British Council, who were trying to organize for schools in Nigeria and some factors. And he needed my expertise. Then he asked for it. And of course, I have the right to go on the public domain to Google out how much you'll be giving, about 700, pounds sterling and all that, blah, blah, blah. I didn't ask him because I know that if you have to involve me, which of course I gave him all that he needed from me, my experiences, my past project and all that, and my full CV. That's all he needed. And if we should win this, he cannot do it alone. That particular area where I have given to him, he has to look for me before he can be done. Now, one way or the other, the issue of trust in this country has gone so terribly, more than what words can describe, that one way have been involved and other people will collect the money. But one thing I will ask you today, where are they? Where are those names? Where are those projects executors? If they are there, their names should be ringing around. It's called hit and run. They can't have it again. They have the money, they can't have it again. But if you do a legal work, well documented, give money to those who deserve it, and you have pictures and you have appreciation to show for it. And let's not forget, I was actually expecting questions from you to ask me that what are the privileges or the benefits of donors? First of all, is asking that. You can be a donor. What do you benefit from being a donor? Okay? But in a nutshell, what are the benefits? We talk about image today. Brand. Have you heard about Belinda yes, have you heard about foundation? Why are you hearing that? Because of their popularity. So the names will continue to go. Bill Gates and others. Coca-Cola has its own. Continue to go. If you Google how the names are there, they won't die, and they do it conscientiously. And what are they want to see their names going. Anything to do with their brand will continue to fly higher. That's what they get and that's what they want to get. If I benefit from them today, of course, anywhere I go, it will be the top of the town. Yes, I got $60 from some people. The ones I got, the $5,000 I got from Andrews last year, February, I continue to say Andrews has done well. Even though obviously it's not enough to carry out the project, but it's going to push in the effect of the investment that we have to make. So, I'm invited for a project. Of course, they know that I know my audience and I will not take. So you need to please read and go outside of your comfort zone to know your rights in terms of what you want. You don't have to go for it. At this level, I'm sure what you discussed was when you were a student. Nobody can come to you now and say, okay, you have a community project for 2 weeks, and you have to leave your work, you have to sign work without pay, and you go for me for 2 weeks. And after that 2 weeks, what you just entitled to is a solo thing. I'm not sure you go there. So there is actually levels. At that level, you may not be able to agitate, and those people taking it there are likely to be your supervisors, to be your teachers, that they know you. But right now, I'm not sure anyone can do that to you. So you have to sign. One of the things is you need to see evidence of the money that you are entitled to. That cannot be shortchanged for any other thing after the project has been executed.
Thank you very much. I'll take the last question.
Thank you very much, my brother, for the educating and informative representation of the officer. We talk about the benefits. I want to find out if there are challenges too, because the area of inputs between the elders, support and all, and it's extending to meeting the chairman, even the governor of the state. Don't you meet any challenges that can be said and discourage the instead we should continue to rise and rise. Now, again, I have given my call. Use it. I don't want to just use it. God will bless me. I don't want anyone. So this money, how do you then distribute it? Even though you also told us that you can keep it for the other, you cannot wait and sit out. Please, I don't want this money. Take my hall, take my son. Say, God will bless me. How do you do that?
Well, good question, man. I will start from the rear. You gave sacrifice, you just have it, and you don't want anything in return. Of course, it's possible. Okay? However, the money cannot stay within. The money cannot stay with the principal investigator. It has to go back to the donor. Because there's no evidence that the person who gave the law collected money. But if you want the money to stay within the community, it's for you to collect. Sign, collect, give it back, and monitor how you want it to be distributed. Or you sign, collect, and distribute to the community. If at all you don't want it, but you want it for the community use, you have to sign that you are collecting and distribute. But the moment you are not collecting, definitely it's going to be power to the donor, because there's no evidence that whoever has given that has marked it with a cost. There's no crime in that. It goes back. If you are not signing, you want it free, it's going to go back. And it cannot be used for further projects within that organization. The other one is that are there challenges? Yes, so many challenges, so many enormous challenges. One of these challenges is that you don't have your time. Grant writers don't have time. You don't sleep. You have to pay some cost somewhere. You have to bear some cost somewhere. If you are in academics, you have to lose in some way to gain some way. But I won't say more than that until you get to what I'm talking about. But that is for being in academics. The other one is that the other challenge that is prominent in writing, you may lack some personnel. Last week we had to go as much as Covenant University, because you must quantify your bid to ensure that you have everything it takes to win this grant by putting those that matters in your writing. And the grant we submitted last week was supposed to be from Sub-Saharan Africa too. That is talking about Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, and one other at Zimbabwe. I'm representing Nigeria. We got someone from Kenya, we got from Zimbabwe. I got a friend from Ghana. Eventually we could not use him because his area of specialty was not related to tech. We had to drop him. It was a big challenge because we could not get onto the guy needs. The other one was that we needed someone also who could boost up our targets. You have to ensure that because every point, every location is allocated with point, percentage of winning is attached. So you need to ensure that you at least maximally you are getting 10-10 per section. so that overall we will be able to win the bid. The man could not meet up with our request. We could not use him. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying that I pray that we still get it, but it may be one of the issues that may make us losing or dropping the bid if at the end of the day we are eliminated. So these are just few of some of the challenges. And also, the biggest of it all is that you may use your money, you may, what am I saying, assuming principal income, you have about 15% of the income. And one way or the other, unknowingly to you, for you to be able to meet up, making some calls and all that, you may encroach into spending your own money that will never be paid back. That's one of the sacrifices that you have to make. But what is your benefit? Mrs. Alao mentioned earlier. Why do you have to run under the umbrella of worker? Because it's a low rider. And when you are running under his umbrella, ladies and gentlemen, it's not for you. You will pay. You get it back. When you lose as an established principal investigator, you will get it. It's a long time investment. You get it someday. It may not be immediate. So these are some of the few challenges that are associated to writing a grant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's actually the exam. So moving on, I saw Dr. Akolaki working during the course of the presentation. So I would like to recognize him. He was sitting somewhere behind. Dr. Akolaki is a consultant family medicine, backup investigation. Please let's welcome him. So we have a brief announcement. Everyone here has been grouped. So please, during the tea break, let's go to the registration stand and check the group who are in. I hope we got that. We've all been grouped. So during the tea break, please check out your group at the registration stand. So next, we'll be taking a presentation by Prisland. But before that, I would like to call on the following people in the high table. So I'd like to recognize the HOD for Pediatrics, not Spain. Please let's welcome us to come forward. Next, I'd like to recognize and call up stage the HOD for ONG, Nurse Adikemi Alao. Then the HOD for Children Emergency, Nurse Popola. And the HOD for Accident and Emergency, Nurse Adeyeke. And our mayor, Director of Nursing Services, Backup Investigation and System. So before the next presentation, I would like us to take Total Care Conference for 2020. So to be projected for us, and I would like us to rise as we take. Please let's be honest, we have commitment projected already. So this is the PhD that we're going to be taking. And I would like us to put our money into it. 1, 2, ready, go. As a nurse, I agree that total nursing care is an ideal deal with all patients interested in my care. I promise that from this moment onward, I shall inculcate total care in my day-to-day interaction with my patients, in or outside the hospital setting. Let's have our seat. So our next presentation is from Prisland, and I'll be calling on stage Mrs. Okayemi Ade, the medical manager for Ogun State Prisland Company, Wamco Nigeria PLC, and they are the makers of Big Meal and Free Fry. So joining us as welcome on stage Mrs. Okayemi Ade.
afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my esteemed healthcare professionals. It's a privilege to be in your midst today. I do not take it for granted at all. Yes, I'm Miss Abby. Okay, so I want to, all protocols to be observed, I want to appreciate the Director of Nursing Services for the opportunity to be here. I want to appreciate and recognize all HOUs present. And I want to appreciate and recognize every esteemed healthcare professional here. You are all angels, and you will not have lives born. So please can you put your hands together? It's a great conference you're having here, and I really do particularly like the theme for this conference. Okay. And today we are just here to have a conversation around how we can support optimal growth and overall brain development in infancy. Like I said in paragraph A, I mentioned that you all are angels, and without you, we would not have lives birthed, without your help and without your expertise. And that is because it all starts from here, it all starts from the hospital, it all starts from the mother and the child. So very quickly, I know that we are pressed for time, but this will be as quick as possible, and I hope that it's as interactive as possible as well. I would please appreciate your responses from time to time as well. So now, when we say we want to support optimal growth and overall brain development in infancy, what does it mean? Before I go into that, I will need to mention that I'm representing Frisman Campina Wanko, Nigeria PLC. We are the proud makers of Peak Milk, 3 Crowns, Free Soul, My Boy, and so on. And we are here to just share some scientific knowledge with you, which is part of our commitment to supporting other practitioners in their practice. So now, it's a no-brainer that exclusive breastfeeding is the best choice for babies. Definitely. I'm trying to change the slides, but it's not responding from here. Do you mind helping? Do you mind helping with that? Alright, thank you. So when we say growth and overall brain development in infancy, what do we mean? What exactly do we mean? I know that we have had some form of interaction with a few people here. I know some cases definitely, but of course I've not been privileged yet to meet everyone. So I'm struggling with the remote. Can I use mine? Would that be fine? Except you help me change my slides as we go. I'm supposed to be on the next slide already. Yes, exclusive breastfeeding is a no-brainer according to the World Health Organization that exclusive breastfeeding in the first 6 months of life is what the standard is. And we definitely understand as midwives or nurses, it's our prerogative as well, or we have great influence on what the child has access to from day one. So it's good that we have such conversations. I hope my slide can move on now. Okay. While they are helping us with that, are there any, based on our years of experience and everything, are there any situations where perhaps exclusive breastfeeding might not be possible? Are there situations like that in the course of our practice? I want to learn if, okay, do you mind sharing? Are there any instances where that might not be available or possible? Can we have that conversation very briefly while they are trying to? Can anybody just mention help? Okay, she said something about H.
Death of the mother.
Thank you, ma'am. Unfortunate death of a mother. Is there any other? Okay. You're raising your hand. Okay, Dr. Eniola. When the mother is on chemotherapy, okay. Thank you, Nurse Eniola.
When mother is not lactating.
Thank you, Rachel. When a mother is not lactating well. Rachel, okay, about you say something. Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, they are unable to change the slides of my presentation for some technical issues. Maybe they should just use my laptop straight up. If that's fine. So sorry for we already tested it and it worked, but I don't know why it's not projecting now. I will also give you the password to my laptop. I'm so sorry for it. Sorry for that very big breaking transition. So we started it now. So I was saying that, yes, for every child, exclusive breastfeeding in the first 6 months of life should be the first choice, as it provides complete nutrition for children to attain their highest potential, and it helps their physical growth and brain development. We understand that there are some cases like you've established when this exclusive breastfeeding might not be possible or suboptimal. So in such cases, how do we intervene as healthcare professionals? Do we have any solution or alternative in the interim until exclusive breastfeeding can then be possible? Are there any situations like that, or are there any solutions or alternatives that we can have? Ma, you didn't get my question. I said, what do we then do when situations like that come up? Okay, you may say something.
Yeah.
Okay.
In response to your question, the latest standard, any milk is better than no milk. So for babies born, it is good to establish breastfeeding, but if you cannot, it is appropriate to give breast milk substitute, because now it has been established that any milk is better than no milk. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eniola. So she established that now it's been re-emphasized that any milk is better than no milk, and I heard her mention that a suitable breast milk substitute would be an option. So, like we just established, breastfeeding is not an option. If for any reason it's not an option or suboptimal, we should ensure that babies receive adequate nutrients to support their growth and development all the time. I'm happy that the HOE of pediatrics mentioned that sometimes mothers may not lactate, and some other unfortunate situations where they need to respond to the child's living and growing healthy. Therefore, having established this, and according to the NDHS 2018, it's been proven that a larger percentage of mothers or children who are not exclusively breastfed are not given suitable breast milk substitute. About 70% of those infants are not given breast milk substitute, and that is an inappropriate practice. So instead of that, they are being given some other unsuitable alternatives like concussions, unmodified cow's milk, and so on. We can keep mentioning some of the list. Some people give semo and so on that is not appropriate for the infant at that age. Now, what is a suitable breast milk substitute? What could be an ideal breast milk substitute to recommend? That would be a question I would leave in our heart to think about. In your opinion, what could make this child thrive when we need an alternative, or when breast milk is not an option? Should we subject the child to unmodified cow's milk? Should we subject the child to concussion, herbs, and other things that are not befitting for the child and his metabolism and his digestion. Now, having said this, as an organization whose mission is to nourish Nigerians daily with quality dairy nutrition from cradle to adulthood. Yes, you know everything about pig milk, it's a household name, you know 3 crowns, you know so and so on. But that's for adulthood, right? So if our mission is to nourish Nigerians daily with dairy nutrition from cradle to adulthood, then we need to indeed start from cradle. And as an organization, we've thought about it, we've had our research, and we've come up with a nutrition intervention product called P-Baby Infant Formula. This infant formula is supposed to be a nutrition intervention product when breast milk is not available. Like I established before, exclusive breastfeeding is the standard. When it is not possible or suboptimal, then a suitable alternative is required according to the World Health Organization. And that is what, my slide is okay. And that is what I just established. So I don't know if anybody has seen this particular product anywhere before. Has anybody seen this before? Yes, at some point. Okay, I don't know if you have a cause to recommend it at any point in your practice, but it's good enough that you cited it before and you recognize that it's a nutrition intervention product. Now, it's not just a product because we want to make a product, but it's a product because it is unique in itself. Everybody knows peak for quality, definitely. So now, as a product in the medical channel, we need to establish some scientific facts that this product has to give you enough reason to be able to consider it for recommendation. Are we together? Okay, so that's why I'm here today. So, 3 reasons why P-Baby should be considered as the first brand of choice. Now, P-Baby infant formula being a premium infant formula for infants between 0 to 12 months is known to contain protein for healthy growth. You know that almost, if you walk into any store now, everybody claims that they have the basic protein that will help a child grow healthy and strong, right? Yes. However, we don't just have protein because we want to have protein. We have it in the right weight-casing ratio. So the casing to weight ratio, the weight to casing ratio, I beg your pardon, is 60-40, and this enables, easy digestion and faster gastric emptying and so on. I mean, we cannot emphasize the importance of protein. Now, P-Baby contains this protein in the recommended intake. It's in the recommended intake, as you can see on screen, according to the USDA and IOM. From 0 to 6 months, there's a recommended gram per day. For 7 to 12 months, there's a recommended gram per day. All these have been taken into cognizance in P-Baby, which is a product for infants between 0 to 12 months. P-Baby provides optimal protein in the right ratio and also in the right quantity, which is 1.4 gram per. Like I established before, our weight casing ratio is 60-40. And why is this? We understand that the child metabolism is unique and digestion cannot compare to that of an adult. So running fast when the time is running. The second uniqueness of P-Baby is prebiotics. We understand how important internal integrity is. I mean, we know that if a child is growing up physically, a child looking all shopping and fine, but has problems with his digestion or it's a big problem, especially because the infant cannot speak yet. So you're not likely to know what the problem is, except you troubleshoot further. So maintaining a good intestinal environment is very key. Very, very key. And prebiotics in form of galacto-oligosaccharide is contained in P-Baby infant formula. You would agree with me that prebiotics are very key for this child, and it helps. Now we're talking about an epidemic. We are just surviving from a pandemic that we believe we will not survive still. And P-Baby, which contains galacto-oligosaccharide, helps to enhance the immune system. And we know that it cannot be overemphasized the importance of enhancing the immune response at this period when there is a pandemic. Of course, we don't want an epidemic. So everything always starts from the hospital, always starts from the midwife, the nurse, the healthcare professional that either advises or influences what the child has access to. So knowing that P-Baby has contains prebiotics to enhance the immune response is also a great fact you need to know. and it helps to stimulate the growth of beneficial bacteria like bifidobacteria and lactobacilli. I know we know all of this already. Moving on, like I already established in the previous slide, the slide already shows that pig babies are enriched with the prebiotics needed in form of 0.25 gram per 100 ml. Now, this third lever is actually where our unique selling point is as an organization. So you see people talk about protein, everybody wants to claim intestinal integrity as well, fantastic. However, my brand is uniquely wired for cognitive development. I remember that the topic before was supporting optimal growth and brain development in infancy. I'm happy that we have people from different frontiers, like people from ONG, pediatrics, children emergency, everybody here to pull efforts together and expertise together to know what works best for their patient. So now, we have what we call DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. Has anybody heard about that from me before? Docosahexaenoic acid, yes. So it's a long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acid. Docosahexaenoic acid, yes, it's a long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acid contained that is necessary for brain development. So it's contained in breast milk. I know we are talking about when breast milk is not available or suboptimal. So technically we need something that is very suitable. So docosahexaenoid is contained in pig baby. It's a long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acid for brain development. It's been proven by several research that DHA helps to improve brain development. And do we know that 90% of brain growth and a part of the development of a child's brain occurs in the first 5 years of life. So when is the best time to invest in the child's brain? Can anybody follow? Like if 90% of brain growth and development occurs in the first 5 years of life, when is the best time to invest in the child's brain development? Correct, 0 to 5 years. So, and we know that when we are building, foundation is the key. Foundation that we cannot see is usually the key part. And the foundation years of a child is what? What are the foundation years? 0 to 2 years, right? In particular, 0 to 1, where the child is being formed. Do we know that the parts of the body we cannot see are the ones that control the ones that we see? So if everybody else is paying attention to protein for tissue development, maintenance, physical growth, and all, fantastic. We need that for to house the organs we cannot see accurately. So, but the point is, if we do not focus on the ones we cannot see, then the ones that we are building that we can see would then be affected. So, we thought about it. Yes, we have protein. Other infant formulas to have protein. They have prebiotics, of course, and child needs to digest. What else do we need to add value to in this case? And we said, okay, brain development is very key because you cannot see the brain, so you cannot measure physically with your anthropometric indicators, you cannot measure the brain development. So we decided to have a product that contains docosahexaenoic acid that helps, that helps to increase the brain development of the child. Like I mentioned, 90% of brain growth and a part of their development occurs in the first 5 years of life. It is expedient that we are consistent with what we feed the child with for his brain development. So, like I said, although all nutrients are vital for early brain development, certain nutrients have greater effects. Now, you can see that it's not only DHA that are written here. We have iron, selenium, taurine, and choline. All these play a role in brain development. And it is just like you're starting the engine of a car. In the morning, you're starting the engine of a car. It's not just, you won't go and start the engine immediately. You look at other things that synergize to work together to make sure the car moves. We can mention the fuel, right? You look at your dashboard, you look at the radiator, and so on. If all those things don't work in sync, then you're not going to have a smooth ride. So, as well, DHA doesn't work in isolation. It works best in synergy with other nutrients. So we don't just have DHA in isolation and say, oh, we have DHA, and then other nutrients are not there. We have all other brain supporting nutrients included in pig baby like iron, selenium, taurine, and choline. All these help for the proper brain development of the child. So rounding up now, I'm trying to move my slide. If you can help. It's hanging here. Do you mind? Trying to round up already. So having established that this is our unique selling point as an organization, we understand consistency. We understand that the first 5 years of life is key. And I was going to show you in the next slide that in comparison to competition, Peak Baby is known in particular for consistency, also in the 1 year of life. So we have these brain supporting nutrients consistent also in 1 year of life for the child. So if we don't have DHA and brain supporting nutrients in the first XYZ months and we don't have it in the next, for Peak Baby it is consistent also, and it's not lacking at any point in the 1 year. Okay, this is the slide. Can we see the slide well? Can we see it well? Okay, so Peak Baby is fortified with DHA, choline, iron, thyroid, selenium, and other nutrients, and we can establish from this slide that Peak Baby contains a unique blend of brain supporting nutrients compared to its competitors. You can see that the label stands for other infant formula and abnormal formulas. You can see that at some point in the 1 year of life, the child lacks some of these brain supporting nutrients in other brands. But for Peak Baby, you can see that from 0 to 12 months, DHA is contained in 6.2 milligrams, choline 14, thyroid 6, selenium 2.5, and so on. So this is just to re-emphasize that we are very consistent, quality-wise, quantity-wise, nutrients-wise, and so on. We do not compromise on that for any reason. So now in summary, Peak Baby contains all essential macro and micronutrients critical for biological growth and brain development in the first 1 year of life. So we've established protein, we've established prebiotics in the form of galactose-oligosaccharide. I mentioned for protein that weight placing ratio is 60-40, and for galactose-oligosaccharide it helps for the growth of beneficial bacteria and like bifidobacteria and lactobacilli. It also helps to enhance immune response. Then I went ahead to mention that beyond all that, we need to focus on the parts of the body that we cannot also see. And I said the brain development is very key, and 90% of that occurs, 90% of the brain growth occurs in the first 5 years of life. And you agreed with me that it's the experience that you pay attention to that first 5 years of life for the child. I also mentioned that DHA, docosahexaenoic and amino acid, doesn't work in isolation. It works in synergy with other parts, other nutrients. And I used an example of the car, that you don't just focus on the engine alone, you look at little things around that help the engine function. And now I'm here to just summarize that. Having said all this, Peak Baby is uniquely positioned in the middle to show you that it is surrounded by a lot to help the child. The focus is on the child and not the product. So having said all this, as an organization that is very concerned with public health, nutrition, and I'm a public health professional anyway, if what you can see on the screen is, if you're interpreting it rightly, it will be that our organization is known for consistency. Why? So we don't just stop at Peak Baby. You can see Peak Baby quite alright for 0 to 12 months. We have Peak 1, 2, 3. We have Peak 4, 5, 6. And all these milk ranges have docosahexaenoic acid, that is DHA needs. All the milk ranges have. And why is that? Why don't we have 7, 8, 9? Why did we stop at 4, 5, 6? Does anybody want to know? I might have a gift. I don't know who was listening to me. So why do you think we stopped at 4, 5, 6 based on some of the things, something I said here? Okay. You said brain development. Oh, absolutely fantastic. Very good. I have together for her. She said because 90% of brain growth and the part of the development occurs in the first 5 years. So I mean, it's just realistic to invest in those first 5 years. Once the child clocks, after the child is done with 4, 5, 6, the child can then move to what? Regular adult milk. So a child, an infant, and or a child should not be given a milk that is not appropriate to his or her age. Please. When you're taking a child 0 to 12 months, when breast milk is not available, please think Peak Baby infant formula as an ideal solution. When the child is 1 year, of course, dairy is important all through the diet of the child. If you look at the food plate, the public health professionals will understand, of course, the food plate, you need dairy at some point. Dairy has been added to that plate. So, Peak 1 to 3 can come in handy because it contains DHA also for brain development. And of course, you don't stop there because the brain development will continue. So why do you want to start well and not end well? You might as well finish well with Peak 4, 5, 6. I mean, it only makes sense to start and be consistent with the brand. If you're going to use P4 to P4 biosecurity, you might as well start well with P-Baby when you know, of course, breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding is not possible or not an option. We know that by 6 months, breastfeeding alone is not sufficient. The child needs to be supplemented. So, of course, P-Baby also comes in handy there where you can supplement the child's pap, the child's cereal with P-Baby as well after exclusive breastfeeding. So I'm sure that with everything I've said, we are equipped with more facts, and we now understand, you know, the positioning of our brand and our intervention in the nutrition space. And we hope that this will further enhance your practice. We hope that this will further give you more, you know, facts to, you know, invest in the life of an infant or a child that needs adequate nutrition at time. Thank you so much for your time. I don't know if you have any questions for me, and I hope you had a good time listening. Thank you. Okay. I have a question myself, but I'll let you ask the question first.
Okay, do we have any questions? I know we do. Now, any question from behind table?
Thank you, Ms. Okwek, for your presentation and the enlightenment. I would say that you've mentioned all your products, but you failed to mention pre-quick milk.
Okay, yes, you have P-Baby preterm. I mean, you know, preterm conditions are not very pleasant, so it's not something that I would just want to say, oh, we don't all pray for preterm conditions. However, yes, we provide solution for preterm infants. So we have a preterm formula called P-Baby preterm. Unfortunately, it's not on this slide. I have it on another part of my computer. So it's called P-Baby preterm. Already, I know that it's been a great resource here in Bangkok because I've seen a lot of uptake of that product to make sure that the preterm infants thrive and they survive. I'm sure that's why I mentioned when you asked, because of course it's something that has been, you know, recommended already at the neonatal ward for the infant. So yes, in case you come across it, yes, we have P-Baby preterm, and that's to show you that we are thinking even for the babies that are not yet in terms of their brain development and their survival. So P-Baby preterm contains 3 times more DHA than P-Baby, you know. But I didn't want to talk about that so that I don't take the focus off P-Baby, which is for term infants between 0 to 12 months. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm concerned about that because due to our little experience there now, I wouldn't be able to say specifically the disparity between your components and other products. But from our observation so far, pre-milk milk in neonatal will have anytime you give it to a preterm baby, they look throw up. Unlike other products, like NAN, free NAN, the end product or the results from the babies, preterm babies that have been taking the NAN has been so wonderful for years. I'm not saying that. I'm only clarifying some things. And I want to state it clearly here that the choice of artificial milk in neonatal ward is not for nurses, neither of it for doctors. We leave it as parental choice for logistic reasons. And so I want you to clarify, there is something that is making a preterm baby to be throwing up, because in most cases they throw up. And we are not the one that made the choice. The parents now, and the moment we see the reaction of the baby, we stop it. And then ask the mother to make another choice, for which most response needs to be much more better. So can you tell us, actually this program has really given us much more room for research, which is going to be one of our major focus. But then, is there any component, or is it lactose-free, or the percentage of lactate in your own? You know, some babies, they prefer lactose-free or due to that there are not to eat anything. But I hope you got my point.
your point is clear, but slightly confusing because I am getting a direct opposite feedback from direct use from even the parents and some other healthcare practitioners. I don't know if anybody has a contrary opinion.
Yeah,
I think we once had a case that the baby vomited when we changed the product. I remember we had this conflict that we lost 2 of the babies, and the parents made the choice to use formula, that is breast milk substitute. It was their choice. So we commend the formula from, I think, 48 hours after that, because within the first 24 hours, they were not stable. So we didn't comment. After 48 hours, we commend them on breast milk substitute. And when the first scan finishes, as at then, it was not available in the hospital. So we had to go to Shagam. We had to send the parents to Shagam to go and buy. Unfortunately, it was a weekend. They could not get. So they switched from Pig Pretem to another formula. And then the baby reacted. They did not tolerate the other formula. And the moment we switched back to the formula she's presenting, the formula we're talking about, which is Pig Baby Pretem, because I am not an advocate of any formula. I'm my patient advocate. But the moment we switch back to the formula, the baby stopped vomiting without any other intervention. That's 1. 2, there are several factors that can make a baby throw up. Even after feeding, because yesterday, I fed my neighbor's child with a breast milk substitute. And she called me less than an hour after feeding. I got the baby myself, placed the baby on my chest, put the baby to sleep. And I think about 1 hour thereafter, she called me back that the baby is vomiting, and I have to attend to the child. So there are several factors that can make a baby vomit after feeding. Thank you.
Thank you, Nurse Eniola. I really do appreciate that evidence that our product does not, there is no component in the product that would allow a child to, and like you rightly said, I've gotten direct calls from parents that used the formula and said, thank you, my child survived, thank you, this. I still got a call today that, where is Pig Baby Pretem? That we need it. So maybe that was a miscommunication that got to you, ma'am, that about that, but I mean, ma'am? Yeah, we can't generalize with just one case, and like we said, several reasons might make a child throw up, but that's what, in terms of your use of Pig Baby Pretem. So do you have any questions for me concerning today's presentation, concerning Pig Baby and any other of our brands that you see? The price, we have it at the hospital name marks. We have Pig Baby at the hospital name marks. We also have it at the Superstore. Currently, it's going to be restocked at the Superstore today. We have it at the mini marks in the hospital for now. We also have it at stores outside. The price goes for an average of 2,000 naira in the market. So I don't know if we have any other questions, contributions, opinions. Okay, sir.
Sorry, I just want to say from your presentation, you said prebiotics contain galactose-oligosaccharide, and from my own research personally, I've gathered that I heard you said food GOX, galactose.
So I didn't say prebiotics contain. I said we have a prebiotic in the form of galactose-oligosaccharide in Pig Baby. So not that prebiotics contain. GOS is a prebiotic. Galactose-oligosaccharide is a prebiotic.
Because do you mean that Pig Baby contains the galactose-oligosaccharide? And from our own research, babies react to lactose, which is in the galactose-oligosaccharide. So that would be the cause of the vomiting. And if you can recommend that they reduce the quantity of that GOX,
babies that are lactose intolerant. Okay, yes, I understand your point. So just so that you are clear, the product she was referring to is not any of these. Just so that you are clear, galactose-saccharide is contained in pig baby infant formula. She was referring to a totally different product. And they have different components. So are we clear? At the moment, I do not think that pig baby has started to be recommended in the neonatal ward just yet. The hope is that maybe after this presentation you see reason to recommend it or to suggest it when there's an opportunity to. So are we clear? Thank you. I'm going to ask a question for out of time. I'm going to ask a question and give a gift, but I think I'm out of time, so I'll just give it.
Okay, I think we'll have during the recess, so she could ask her question and vote down, right? Okay. Good afternoon, time. We're going on a 5-minute break. So please let's stand up, let's stretch, let's get prepared for our next lecture. Thank you. Let's stand, let's stretch, let's walk around.